So what we're going to talk about today is the onboarding process, and the first thing is to go into the DocuSign users, and here is the stages of onboarding. So the first stage is going to be when the agent fills out the application, and they click on this, and this is what they do to fill out the form. And then what the first step is, IT is going to take this information and transfer it from this part of Salesforce into the part that allows a license to be used, so that the agent, all the information is created in a profile. So this is the first part where once they fill it in, it comes in here, and then when we do the first step, it takes it from the DocuSign part of Salesforce and then enters it into the user profile, where we can assign the appropriate license information so that they can log into Salesforce and see the reports, get their appointments. Until it's in here, they can't. So that's the first step in the process. Once that information is there, then IT will update it by changing the status, and then it will go into the collecting paperwork, where HR works through things like sending out the Mind Flash video and the background check. And then once all that's done, the status is changed to released for training. And here our training department goes through and makes sure that all of this information is filled out: background checks, day 1 training, day 2 training. The modules are completed, so it's kind of a combination of training and HR working with this. And then once that is complete, the person is either sent to onboarding fail or onboarding success. To the DocuSign receive, what we're going to do is just take these two users and go through the process of exporting them from this part into the user object in Salesforce. And that's easily done using something called Lexi Loader. And then we export. We can connect to Salesforce. And now what we're going to do is go into Salesforce, and we're going to look for the DocuSign object. And we're going to say, hey, where do we want to put that on our computer? And in onboarding, we're just going to save it as extract.csv, overwrite the past file, because we do this over and over again, like once a day. And then once we take that, we hit next. And then the next thing is and then instead of clicking these boxes and putting that in manually, there it is, all those fields. We hit finish, yes, Excel file. And we have 2 successful extractions, so that's good. So then the next thing is to go into Excel, and we're going to go to the extract file that we opened up, and also this November file. Alright, so then we use the magic here, highlight those values, drag them down here, and you'll see that it populates. Now here we have, doesn't populate because this person is not a manager. I called HR, and turns out that his manager was Jeffrey Jenkins. Alright, so once it does that, then we put that information in. Now we also have to do things like make sure the date is the correct format. And we do that, and then we also have to make sure that the date is the correct format for the birth date. Format that. And then we want to make sure that the time zone is correct, because there's 3 different time zones, and this also takes care of that. And the agent title. And here is where we change it from documents received, and this will update it to collecting paperwork once we make one more change. And our status is now onboarding, and the onboarding process begins. And that's all we need. Then I delete the template, save it, And now I'm going to insert this into Salesforce using Lexi Loader. So I insert to the user object, point it to the extract file, and if all goes well, it should say 2 records, and we're going to map it to pull up all the fields that match, and hit finish. Yes, it will pop up 1 successful, 1 error. Now if we view the error, it's going to say that the duplicate username. Alright, so obviously this is not the same person, but they have the same username, so what we have to do is change their username to old, and that will allow us to re-import this user. Insert user and extract. Next, click OK. Now it should just be 1 record inserted because we already inserted 1 and 1 duplicate. And that's correct. Awesome. So that's done. Now the next thing is to update our DocuSign so that it moves to collecting paperwork so that HR can then take over the onboarding process with this agent. So we're just going to point it to this file. Next, update, and here we're just going to choose an existing map, and this is going to map to our DocuSign map. Then we hit finish, and it should say 2 successful updates. Excellent. So now if we refresh, because the current employee status is switched to onboarding and the onboarding status has changed from DocuSign received to collecting paperwork, they should both disappear. Hit refresh, DocuSign is empty and has been moved. Those 2 records have been moved to collecting paperwork. And just to show you, one of the persons was Fernando Martinez, and he's there. So now HR is going to take over this part of the onboarding process.